speak for Team Binay, Attorney Layug, who will be given 10 minutes. Attorney J.
Thank you, Ben. Good morning, everyone. Before you start counting my time, I just wanted to thank the LaSalle community, especially the honorary alumnus status today. That makes me probably the luckiest honorary Lasallian today, because what I fail to tell you is I married the most beautiful Lasallian, and I'm married to one. She is a graduate of accounting here in LaSalle. And I kept asking her, why is it that all her classmates, including my wife, of course, they're all beautiful and smart? And that seems to be the trait here in LaSalle. Anyway, thank you for this opportunity to share with you the platform. We apologize that we received the invite only, at least I received it one day before, but in any event, I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to share with you the platform of Vice President Binay. Now, you can start my time. If you look at the survey recently, you will notice that out of the survey with 3,000 respondents, the main concern that they've raised as an issue of Philippine society nowadays is still poverty. And Popo in fact mentioned that. Kahirapan. It's still poverty that prevails in society nowadays. Now, on that basis, the Vice President, Jejomar, decided to pursue an inclusive, equitable, and sustained economic agenda that will create more jobs, meaningful income, and affordable food for everybody. Now, our economic agenda is based or is anchored on 5 pillars. For those of you who study, mas madaling mag-memorize if you have your mnemonics. And I'll share with you my mnemonics. We have 5 pillars for our economic agenda. The first pillar, we develop all those key industries that to our mind contribute the most to Philippine society. And what are these? Agriculture, mining and export, tourism, and BPO services sector. If you look at these sectors, they already contribute 100% of employment. And one of the sad parts of these 5 sectors that I mentioned, 30% in fact belong to the agriculture sector. So lahat po ng halos 30% ng jobs dito sa Pilipinas nanggagaling po sa agriculture sector. Ang nakakalungkot po, if you look at what has happened in our agriculture sector for the past 5 years, hindi po siya nabibigyan ng tamang ayuda. And accordingly, under our first pillar, we will support the agriculture sector. Among other things, we will provide the necessary financial assistance and provide the necessary and develop the necessary infrastructure for agriculture. Farm-to-market roads. Alam niyo po, kung kayo po ay magtatanim at wala namang kaling dadaanan, ako po, malaking cost for our farmers. And this is where we are lagging behind. We need to increase our support for farm-to-market roads. We need to provide the necessary irrigation projects in the agriculture sector. Kung bibilangin niyo po, how many poor provinces there are in the Philippines, there are identified 15. Kung titingnan niyo po doon sa 15 poorest provinces, lahat po yan agricultural provinces. Lahat po madaming magsasaka. Ngunit kung titingnan po natin, of those provinces, agriculture being the key sector, hindi po siya nabigyan ng tamang ayuda ng pamahalaan. So one of those that we will provide the necessary support to is agriculture. The next one in the first pillar is infrastructure. Alam niyo, na-mention din ni Popoy kanina, yung pangangailangan natin magtayo ng kalye, eskwelahan, ospital, at lahat po ng mga buildings na kailangan natin. Popoy is correct. Currently, our target is 5% of our GDP as funding for infrastructure na pag-iiwanan na po tayo. But even with 5%, we also have underspending. Hindi po na gagastos ang budget na naka-allocate sa ating General Appropriations Act. Tama po, dapat we move towards 5%. From 5%, we move towards 7%. Kung bibilangin niyo po yung 7%, using GDP of 2014, ilan po ang gagastusin natin for infrastructure? That's almost 950 billion pesos to 1 trillion pesos. Yan po ang kailangan nating gastusin upang makapagpatayo tayo ng lahat ng kailangan nating infrastructure. And under the Binay economic agenda, we will move towards 5% to 7%. Now, aside from agriculture and infrastructure, we mentioned to you tourism, export, and the services sector. All these sectors must be helped by government and must be provided the necessary financial assistance. Let's now go to the second pillar of our economic agenda. Alam niyo po, if we want to spend so much in the budget, of course, we would need funding. And one of those that we have identified, which is our second pillar, is attracting the necessary foreign investments. Kung wala ho tayong kapital, wala ho tayong panggastos. Now, we have identified, unfortunately, one of those major factors why we are lagging behind in terms of foreign direct investments ay yung limitation po dun sa ating saligang batas. You are political students, right? We know that under the Constitution, madami mong limitation. If you want to put up a solar plant in the Philippines, you need to be 60-40. In other words, your company must have at least 60% Filipinos. Kung gusto nyo hong magtayo ng tinatawag nating biomass, yung dumi mula sa baboy, dumi mula sa baka, kailangan din po, ayon sa batas, 60% Filipino. Palagay ko, wakasan na natin yung ganyang pangangailangan. Ang dumi, ang biomass, hindi naman po kailangan Pilipino ang dapat gumawa niyan. Papasukin na po natin yung mga foreign investments. And that is the reason why, as a second pillar in our Binay economic agenda, we will attract foreign direct investments. And as a component of that, we will amend the economic provisions of the Constitution. Let's allow once and for all those with capital and technology to do business here in the Philippines. But it doesn't stop in economic amendment. Kailangan po kasama dun sa ating second pillar, baguhin po natin yung pamamalakad ng mga departamento natin sa pamahalaan. Alam niyo po ba, kayo'y magtatayo ng planta sa Pilipinas. Ilan po ang permit na kailangan nyo sa LGUs? 3? 5? Hindi po, kulang ang aking kamay. Kailangan mo 200 signatures ang kailangan mo. Can you imagine, we attract foreign investments and yet we ask them to get 200 signatures from different departments of government. Para na rin natin sinabi sa kanila, hali kayo, come to the Philippines, pero ayaw namin sa inyo. We need to be more efficient in government operations. That's part of our second pillar. Our third pillar, now one of the main pillar of the Binay platform, the economic platform, is equitable distribution of economic wealth. You have heard this many times. We have said that those earning 30,000 pesos or less will not be taxed anymore. Kailangan natin baguhin ang ating tax system so that once and for all, our people will have the money to spend on their basic services. Many people are saying, hindi po kaya yan, malulugi ang pamahalaan. Hindi po totoo yan. Kaya po natin kung gugustuhin natin. And in our economic agenda, we will make sure that those earning 30,000 or less will no longer pay income tax. Kasama po yan. Our fourth pillar goes into basic services delivery. Alam niyo po, kung may pondo nga tayo, may maganda po tayong plano, kung hindi naman kaya ng pamahalaang ibigay ang shelter, education, employment, food, healthcare, eh para saan po ang gobyerno? One of those things, which is our fourth pillar, is to ensure efficient delivery of basic services. Kailangan po yan. Nagkulang po ang pamahalaan over the years, not just this government. Kailangan mong palitan na natin ang pamamalakad. We need to make sure, even at the barangay level, ma-deliver mo yung basic services. Shelter, health, education, employment, food, kailangan po sa lahat ng mamamayan. And finally, as our last pillar of our economic agenda, kailangan po yung social protection. Kanina po, na-mention mo ni Popoy, nakakalungkot po ang Pilipinas. We have at least 25% poverty incidence. Sabi ho ng pamahalaan ngayon, napababa na po namin yan. Ang nakakalungkot po, noong 2010, ang ating population ay 93 million. And the poverty incidence then was 25.9% or thereabouts. Ngayon po, 2015, ilan na po ang population ng Pilipinas? 103 million. Napababa po ng kaunti ang poverty incidence, about 25.2%. Pero dumami ho yung populasyon. So that does not mean that it improved, no? Because more people in fact are now in poverty. Let me just end with the core values of the Binay presidency. Tatlo po yung sinasabi ko namin. Kakayahan at experience, kasama ho din yung kasama at inclusion, at pinakahuli ho yung kanyang kalinga sa bawat. We'll be ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Atty.